I am Evan Slater. I work for Ogilvy, and I am a planning director. They asked me to speak about four-screen marketing, right? Marketing across multiple screens. It's really the future of advertising and marketing in a new media world that everybody seems to be a little bit afraid of. But it's marketing in more than one place, and how we connect the dots from one medium to another. I'm not sure most of it gets the foresight and insight that it deserves. I think it happens organically. It happens because the client says, why aren't we using this? It happens as an afterthought. It happens, but it's not happening as efficiently or effectively as it should be. I think it varies based on campaign and based on client, right? Based on type of client. The truth is, I'm not sure it should ever be something that's up front, but I don't think any medium should necessarily be anything that's up front. I think the idea should really reign supreme, and I think we need to have experts on tap from every different industry. I think this industry needs to be in the forefront. I think interactive strategists need to be up front, and interactive technologies need to be at the forefront. But I think it needs to be incorporated into the big idea, and be sort of a natural element of the big idea. Part of what I talked about yesterday was divorcing ourselves from technology, right? If you walk through these halls, it's really easy to see that technology can support just about any idea we can come up with. So I think the focus needs to shift to creative, to creative ways, creative concepts, creative ideas, and then we'll find a technology that can support it afterwards. So I think we need to sort of shift how we look at things. I think it's really about becoming a creative resource, right? I think it's about integrating into the creative process and not necessarily just the production process. I think there's a tendency to want to sort of pigeonhole, and I talk to a lot of people here that are very creative people, but the ad industry and I think this industry in itself have pigeonholed yourselves into sort of the technologists as opposed to creative technologists. So I think seeing yourselves as creative people and seeing the industry as a creative industry rather than just a technology industry is what's going to help drive it and build better partnerships and sort of fluid relationships. We're at a point now where people are not okay with a lack of integration amongst their devices. So if there's a value in me being connected to a digital sign, it has to exist. It's the truth. And again, it goes back to the notion that technology should never stand in the way, be a barrier, or necessarily be the foundation for anything. If there's a reason for things to be connected, if it can make a consumer's life easier, right? If it can give me valuable information, then there should be no reason for it not to be connected, right? That's why Apple's been so successful. There's no reason my music player and my phone shouldn't be connected, and my contacts on my computer and my contacts on my phone should be disparate, separate, and disconnected. So Apple said, that's right, that's stupid, let's connect the two of them. And I think this industry, and there's people here that are starting to do that, there's a couple people here that are starting to move into that space. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff, and I'll be totally honest. The 3D made me really nauseous. I don't know about the 3D, but Spyglass was doing some really interesting stuff. Spyglass and 3M, and it's less about sort of brand new high tech and more about mobilizing technology. They had I think it's called the Vicuity product. It's basically an adhesive screen that lets you sort of it's a peel-off back adhesive that lets you put a screen on a piece of glass and you can project onto it from front, behind. It's just an interesting, simple technology that makes use of space that we could be using for projections. There are a couple cool things. Goo is a cool paintable screen. You paint the screen onto a wall. It's just interesting. I gravitated more towards the products that seem to simplify and allow us to mobilize rather than ones that were, kind of cutting edge. But they're simple. It's nothing that you look at and you say, "Wow, I can't imagine." But I think we're sort of in that long tail of technology where the huge breakthroughs every 6 months. One of my main clients is IBM, and we're at a point now where finding those huge breakthroughs is actually really difficult. So there's a lot of parity, and I think the people that are really starting to do interesting stuff, at least in my eyes, are the ones that make it accessible, that make technology accessible. So I thought those were kind of cool. We can't all afford the multi-million-dollar displays. When we're looking at brands that have 700,000, 1,500 branches, the way that I'm going to be able to access the new technology is through something that's accessible. Through something that's affordable, accessible, and if it's cool, that's great. And what I've done here is I've met a couple people that I'd like to work with. I think in the ad world, the best thing we can do is find expert partners. And I've met 2 or 3 people here that I think are really brilliant in their space that I can pick up a phone and call, knowing that if I have an idea, they can figure out a way to they're tapped into the digital signage networks, that they know digital signage, and they have the perspective, the insights, and the creativity to make it happen. And so I think every few years to be able to reconnect with those people is important. It's not something, and I feel this way about every sort of different vertical that we work with. It's somewhere, if you work with the experts in the business and you connect with them every so often, those are the people I need to know. I need them to be experts. I can't be, we can't be experts in everything. So, I won't tell you the largest. I'll tell you the most interesting I think we used was in Miami a couple of years ago. I did a campaign for a Toyota brand called Scion, which is their kind of hip urban brand. It's the most successful brand launch in automotive history. Very cool brand, very urban brand, but they had a challenge. They really needed to keep the brand cool. So as part of our campaign down in South Beach, we opened a club in the heart of South Beach. And we had this beautiful space, but when we closed at night, because we really couldn't afford to keep it open 24/7, didn't want to, we found this incredible, out of Denmark, this incredible holographic display that was able to stretch across the entire screen, the screen was able to stretch across the entire storefront. So we're able to use digital signage to turn what would have been an empty, dead space into an active storefront all the time. So it was a really interesting use, totally functional and seamless with the campaign. But this is a company called Visu out of Denmark, and it's a fantastic technology. Digital signage, join the revolution.